Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Fanimail, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a podcast where we read and watch through the Animorphs series, one piece of art at a time. Talk about it every week. Today we'll be talking about the Animorphs TV series, episode number 19, which is called Face Off, Part 1. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, and I want to take his face off.
Classic.
I know, right?
Get ready for some face-off jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
I've actually never seen it, but I've heard so many references to it that I pretty much know.
Honestly, it's not terrible.
I think it was the first Nicolas Cage movie I ever really watched as an adult. The first one being, as a kid, being Ghost Rider in theaters, of course.
Also, speaking of Ghost Rider, I read something fucking ridiculous. You know Ghost Rider's penance there? Like his big finisher move where he basically turns the soul, the sins of a soul into hellfire and kills you.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't work on people with one eye or people with impaired vision.
That is hilarious.
So if Ghost Rider grabs you and's like feel their pain or whatever the fuck he said in the movie, all you have to do is close one eye and just be like, what you gonna do, bitch? I
mean, then he'll just chain you with this fire chain.
Yeah, he'll just kill you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's like, well, I mean, there's plenty of souls out there, so.
I killed them and I don't feel bad about it. Watch me wink.
Who are you, by the way? Who's this voice we're hearing?
I'm Jared, former podcaster, current watcher of Animorphs.
Before we jump into the summary, let's do some.
This one's from @MoviePolls on Twitter. Classic fan. They tagged us in it and with a poster of X-Men with the two X people in
Professor
honor of
X
the new.
And Jean Grey.
There we go. In honor of the new Dark Phoenix movie coming out summer of 2019. They want to be the Animorphs so bad. Or, the Rolling Stones, where it's like a head, and then there's a smaller head inside that, and then a smaller head inside that, and it's just a profile view.
The crazy part was that the Rolling Stones cover was also the X-Men.
What's crazy is that Professor X looks like Dr. Manhattan.
I know! I didn't know who it was at first.
Yeah.
You look so weird.
It's a bald blonde white or bald blue white dude.
It's the actor who plays the guy.
Yeah, it's Macklemore.
It's him.
Macklemore. There it is.
Macklemore. James Macklemore.
James Macklemore.
I love it when rappers transition into acting.
They're always so good.
They're so good.
All right. The next piece of fan mail comes from Sean Sprague on Facebook, who shared with us with a picture with the caption, Danny, the seventh Animorph. So I'm sure y'all have seen the picture of online of an Animorphs. There's okay, we don't really talk about it, but there is a meme for Animorphs covers where it's something turning into something else. And that's a joke in and of itself.
And it is played a lot.
Yeah, it's old, but this is a good sort of extreme meta level of it where it's Danny DeVito turning into a bulldog. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. This is a real book. This is a picture of, I'm assuming, Sean holding a book, and it looks exactly like Animorphs The Invasion, #1, but someone has very carefully put the Danny DeVito morphing into the bulldog instead of Jake turning into the lizard. And if it's a sticker or something, it covers the Jake lizard thing perfectly. And if it's a Photoshop and a custom print, fucking even better.
It looks like it might be a Photoshop because it also looks like it's framed or something. Like it has one of those plastic protections on it. And I do have to, before the Twitter fans get in here and correct you, Mikhail, it's not quite a bulldog. That looks like it's a pug.
That is 100% a pug.
But it's excellent. What dedication to the joke. I'm in love with this. I've never seen
Also,
this.
it could still be a sticker, but it could just be the entire cover is a sticker.
Oh, yeah, Dunk.
Actually, yeah, you can see the scholastic thing poking out from the bottom. Still a lot of dedication and still a lot of pride from me for seeing that.
That is top tier stuff.
Thank you, Sean. Maybe we should just jump into our summary of this episode. So this is Face Off Part 1, Episode 19 of Season 1, directed by Graham Lynch, who I think we've seen before, written by Jessica Scott and Mike Wolliger.
The thing about a good director is you don't see them.
Yes. That's true.
The theater kids have spoken.
99% invisible. Okay.
Yeah.
Graham Lynch, canonical brother of David Lynch, also filmmaker. It's not true. I don't think that's true.
It is
so
now.
Also written by Mike Wolliger and released on February 9th, 1999. Jared, why don't you walk us through this?
Sure, why not?
You could call it a TV show, I think.
Yeah, in the loosest definition of such.
I will say a quote that Jared told me while we were watching this episode where he says, you know what? I mean, this one's not actually that bad.
Woof.
Oh, woof.
I mean, like, comparative to some of the other ones we fucking seen? Like,
There's some, you know what? The story, the bare bones of the story is not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if this took place in the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of an actual decent show, it'd be alright, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't just walk out immediately like I do with this
Exactly.
one.
This one starts off, Jake's chilling in his room. He hears Tom come home, so he goes to greet his controller-ass brother. And his brother's like, oh, you gonna be at the game tonight? And, like, Jake just so wholesome. He's like, are you playing? He's like, oh, fuck no. And it was like, it's like, oh, man, he, like, really genuinely wanted to see you play. So that was a bummer.
Yeah, that was sad, actually.
Turns out he's not playing, but the sharing is putting on the halftime show. And if it's anything like the halftime show we see later, they're in for a fucking treat. Christ. He's like, you realize he'd be like, oh man, these controller bastards are up to something. So he decides to morph a fucking gecko.
Yeah, and then he asks himself, why did I morph a lizard?
Yeah, like, am I an idiot? Yes, you are. We have decided this over the last couple episodes. You're dumb.
Strong opener, Jake, my dude.
And as he's morphing lizard, it looks more like it's just a shot of his hands that turn to like scales, but it just kind of looks like he's a burn victim. It's like, oh man, like Jake, you can't just morph that. So we get to see more of that top-notch CGI, and this lizard changes sizes so many goddamn times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough stuff.
It's this huge-ass lizard that, like you can very easily see, and then he's able to somehow slip under a door, and then he's, like, the full size of, like, Tom's backpack.
Yeah.
And I don't know how big this fucking thing is.
The green Aeol lizard that they morphed in episode 1 is much, much smaller than that. I don't know what it's supposed to be this one.
The green and old lizard is supposed to be like a maximum of like 4 inches or something like that. It's really small.
Yeah, and like this thing's, well, it parts of it seems really small, but then other parts it looks like a fucking Komodo dragon running around. Anyway, Jake sees that Tom is looking for the Andalite disc. Oh, he had it the whole time. Why am I so fucking stupid?
I'm so mad that Tom has this fucking disc. So angry at
It's the most, like, undercutting fuck you to the audience that is so subtle.
I actually did not even notice that. I was like so enamored by the POV shots of Jake where it's just like green. He's a lizard. You must just see green, right?
His eyeballs are also green.
It looks like it was like when they had the colored lenses for the lights, it looks like they had one of those, but they put like 6 layers on and we're like, yeah, this is how a lizard sees. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Anyways, he gets caught up in Tom's backpack and Tom picks up the backpack in such a way that it's like you clearly crushed the lizard.
Yeah.
That thing's dead.
That's a dead lizard in there.
You're gonna open up your backpack later and be like, there's a fucking dead lizard in here. What sick fuck played a joke on me. We then cut to the barn. Yeah, we cut to the barn next. and everybody's all prepped for like the big game. It's the first one of finals.
When you finally get to the game, there's like 12 people at it, and one of those is Axe. Like, it's so stupid.
It's really bad.
They had no budget. Why did they write a big game? Make it a pep rally or something. Come on.
I feel like there was also some pep rally-ish stuff happening at this one.
Oh, you mean the cheerleaders? I'll talk about them in a bit.
Okay.
So, and then everyone else leaves, and Rachel goes back to Tobias, who's standing there. And she's like, we couldn't do this without you, Tobias. We couldn't have done any of this without you. And I'm like, that's not totally accurate.
True.
It's a big foreshadowing, like it's a surprise and subtle tool that will somehow come into play later.
Oh yeah,
the kids go to the school for the big game.
Yeah, the kids go to the school for the big game.
And
but
there's
first,
this weirdo at the door.
First, we get to see into the Yurt Cave. Not nearly as cool as the Bat Cave. But yeah, we get to see into the Yurt Cave, and essentially Chapman is like, listen to me, look at the size of my dick.
Yeah, he walks around, and then Tom is just like, let's not forget that you work for me. And, normally I love that trope of kids bossing around adults, but Tom looks older than Chapman in this scene, so it doesn't read as well.
This is dope as fuck. You cannot talk me out of loving Tom shitting on Chapman. Look at his face.
Pretty good, yeah.
It is pretty great.
And like Chapman gets so mad at it.
But first, the kids are in Cassie and Rachel are trying to get into the big game, and for some reason, there's a doorman who is just a slightly bigger teen,
and he's just like, I'm sorry.
He's like he's like the next year grade above them, and it's like, we're not letting anybody in for 10 more minutes.
Hey man, that's all you need back in junior high. It's like, if you had like half an inch on somebody else, you were like, I'm a god to this person.
Fair enough.
That's true. He shaved off his first stubble earlier that morning, and now he feels like a man.
So they say he's not letting anybody in for 10 more minutes. They go around the corner and they morph in the most sneaky way ever. And instead of like going down the stairs and then around, they just jump like off the side of the stairs as immediately as they can and then sneak around the corner. And I'm like, that's the most suspicious shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that fucking controller is like, yo, there's 2 girls out here being weird. Like, should we maybe follow them or something? But they didn't because stupid.
Yeah, security is a mess. So then Tom and Chapman are inside the school by the lockers and they're talking, and then you see 2 mice are looking at them. It's Rachel and Cassie. They're spying. The 2 talk about some bullshit. Tom mentions a disc, and then Chapman pushes Tom through the secret locker room door, but not before Tom hands him a off-brand cola can. And the girls are like, did he hand Chapman the disc? Oh, Chapman has the Andalite disc.
That was 100% a beer. Like, let's
get real. It says cola on it.
Tom was drinking a beer, and I refuse to believe anything else about this scene.
Tom, the actor, wanted a beer, and they needed to write in a reason for him to get one.
They were like, all right, you can put down the beer, and then we'll shoot the scene. He's like, Like, you gotta put it down. He's not holding anything in the scene. He's like, if you take this beer out of my hand, I'll beat you to death. So they're just like, fuck it, Tom's drinking a soda.
That was where the budget went for this episode, was just editing the can in post.
To not be a Coors Light.
And that's why they had to split this one into 3 episodes, because that took all the budget.
I will say, though, like, him being like, is there anything I could do to help? And then handing him your fucking garbage, that is a
baller
big dick
move.
Power move.
Baller move.
Big dick energy.
Brayden, if the freaking, if Rachel getting shitty at Marco got you hard in the last one, this thing got me hard. Next, so the Rachel and Cassie are clear. Is there something about mice not having good vision here?
They like think that he has. They're like,
and he turns very clearly to be holding a can, but they're like, he's got the disc. We gotta tell Jake.
And then when Marco comes in and wanders around looking for them and they demorph behind his back, they tell him, oh, Tom handed Chapman the disc. And Marco's like, what, really? And they're like, I mean, we think so. We just heard it happen. We just know he handed him something.
We heard him hand him something.
Like, what the fuck?
Did you hear the wet little, like, of it going in his hand? What did you hear? How did you hear him hand it to him?
But yeah, so Tom giving him the can to throw away, big dick power move, loved every second of it. And then Chapman tries to do it immediately after.
Yep.
And it's the saddest shit.
It's really sad. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's rough. Where do we go next? Next we see Tom like actually going down the stairs into the Yerk pool.
Oh god! And then there's like the Gleet biofilter sets off, which is just a bad screeching sound, like
Yeah.
And then they get past it by saying, like, it wasn't turned on to evaporate mode. Sorry.
Chapman asked us to lower the intensity, and he's like, turn it back on, you fools! And he presses a button, and then the tech is like, sir, you've just turned off the alarm. He's like, well, shut it all down and fix it. And that's literally the only reason that Jake snuck into the Yerk pool was that they didn't have it on evaporate mode.
They tried really hard to make some sort of plot armor so that it was like, they didn't have to have this lizard all the fucking time. Or that lame-ass fucking screen filter. So they were just like, he accidentally turns off the morphing detectors. Like, who's gonna believe that shit? Write it! And they did it.
Because, that's a thing. They've got morphing detectors set up all around the big game because Andalites cannot resist their basketball. It's too much like driftball, you know? So, with the idea being that if somebody morphs in one of these specific areas, then the Yerks are alerted. I don't think it's just like the anti-morphing ray or like the Veleek that eats morphing energy. I think it's literally they have these zones that are crossed off and everything else is fine. Yerks are bad.
Yerks are bad.
I think that should be the name of this podcast, guys. Yerks are bad. And then we get this next, it's 2 minutes worth of bullshit exposition that we already know because Rachel and Cassie need to inform Marco of all this shit. And it's like, okay, we know all this.
They just recap it. This is for your 3-year-old brother that's
who
watching
missed
the TV
4
show
seconds
with you.
of it.
Then they explain it. Oh, in case you didn't get all that, Jeremy, here you go.
This is like the director or the script supervisor reading the script, and it's like, in brackets in the script, it's like, Marco explains to Cassie and Rachel what's been happening. And in the shoot, the actors are like, oh, okay, so they'll just like fade away when Marco starts explaining. The director's like,
No, keep all that shit in there.
It says he explains it. This is fucking method. like some stupid acting reason why they have to say all of it.
And they're like, okay, we'll come up with a plan. And it's like none of them have ever had to have a plan before. Because they're like, his jacket. Maybe I'll fucking punch him in the dick and take his jacket.
Or I'll spill food on him. That is legitimately suggested.
She literally says you turn into a cat and I'll get his jacket.
I know, that's a great plan. Okay. Chapman, Principal Chapman, give me your jacket. I'll catch the cat. What the fuck, Marco?
I don't get it. And then there's this, we go back.
We see the cheerleading scene in the background.
No. That's later. That's later. But yeah, we cut back to Jake, who's fucking around in the Yerk pool and sees all kinds of shit, and he stumbles upon, I should say. He stumbles upon Vistor 3 and Tom
just
having
Skyping?
This big ass Skype conversation on a TV the size of a fucking Buick.
Yeah, why is this so big when they just had a scene with hologram communication?
It's so you can see Victor Trent's big, beautiful face.
Big, wide fucking head.
Lipinski needs his 5 minutes, folks.
He's the ultimate guest to get on this show, right?
Oh my god, if we could get Eugene Lipinski on this show.
I'm reaching out to his agent right now.
But don't listen to it before.
Please, God, don't.
Please, no.
Don't do any sort of research.
A blind.
Yeah, don't do any sort, or at the very least, we'll just like put together a Lipinski safe like mixtape for him.
Impossible. There's no such thing.
So Jake is out scooping around. He, in this big conversation that Visser 3 and Tom are having, I think Visser 3 calls him Tom at one point, and it's like, dog, you don't need to do that.
That's some cold shit right there.
And then they also talk about having Yeerks they're resistant to chondrona rays, like they're bioengineering Yeerks. And they also say how the disc will only work on the Andalite it's keyed to, but Alfangor was tricky. He keyed it to work to all of his family members. And like at this point, we know that Alfangor was Tobias's dad, right? In the TV show, didn't the Elements tell him that?
I don't think. No, I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
I thought for sure there was a bit where he was in the woods and the Elements came and told him that, but I must be misremembering. Then that's just when the Elements told him that he should fight the Yeerks.
Yeah.
I forget that Fly Fly Away song just like
it kind of took over that episode, Mikhail.
over the whole episode.
Sorry? I'm not sorry at all.
Well, and then, okay, so
he says as it plays in the background.
After the spike call, Tom goes to the most sci-fi thing I've ever seen.
Oh man,
in
like this
series.
is straight creepy.
They're just sacks of egg Yeerks.
And it looks like they're covered in fucking spider webs. It looks like fucking Shelob's cave up in here.
It's gross.
It made me uncomfortable.
And that says something for Brayden. Anyway, Tom's wandering through this terrifying fucking moth meat locker looking thing. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. And he's like super. The dude who's playing Tom is actually like kind of killing it right here because he's creepy as shit. Yeah. He's like, soon, my brothers, and he's like dry humping them a little. It's off.
Caressing the sacks of slug.
We cut back to the big game where they show so much fucking basketball. There's so much basketball in this fucking scene. Like, I get that they're at a basketball game, but it's not a basketball show or a movie like that.
You just need like a couple of seconds and then cut away. You know, they hang on it. This is a show that likes to hang on the unnecessary.
But oh god, do we get a shot of the fucking cheerleaders just like walking out slumped and sad, like being marched out like a train of fucking circus monkeys.
Yeah, it's rough stuff.
He's got a bad walk for someone who like doesn't tie his jacket when he walks, so he just looks like a fucking
fool.
Werewolf or something. Like,
everyone knows you're Yeerk now, Chapman.
Yeah, you crazy bastard.
And then they have I swear to God, there's a conversation where one of the kids mentions, I can't wait till the second half. But then a couple of minutes later, when Rachel tries to leave the gym, she says, oh no, the game is about to start. So like, what's actually happening? Who knows? Certainly not Axe. He just went and stole some drinks. Maybe
it just started and like, some kid is just like, fuck, I can't wait for the second half of this shit.
That could be it.
Like, they play it like, the ref throws the ball in the air and they both, like, conk each other on the head. They're like, oh, sorry, dude. He's like, fuck this game.
There's a part where Axe hands the drinks to... Did we talk about this already? To Rachel and Cassie? Are we at that part?
He hands them both to Cassie. They talk about some bullshit, and then very aggressively he points to one drink and says, that's yours, Rachel. So Rachel takes that drink, and then when Axe turns away...
They swap?
It's so dumb.
I was like, who is that for?
Yeah, I don't get that. But the point is also, the reason they walk away is because Axe didn't pay for the drinks.
Yeah.
But then Marco has the most, like... He's got, like, a super fuckboy grin on, and he nods to the girls. He's like... I'll take care of it. And like goes and walks off like he's gonna go fucking pay for these what must have been 30 cents for a fucking...
Like, they're fucking cheap. They're at a school basketball game. They're probably free.
They're not Appletinis at like some high-end New York lounge. Like, fucking Marco. Yeah, my allowance just came in, so pretty flush right now.
Drinks on me, guys.
Oh, I got it. Then we cut back to the Yeerk pool. And Jake is touching all the Yeerk slug bags. And he rips them open, and it's horrible. It looks like peanut butter dog turds.
Oh, it's fucking...
I cried. I physically cried.
The Yeerk starts screaming, and Jake hears it, and that's a new fun trick these Chondrona-resistant Yeerks can do.
scream.
And Tom stands there, he's like, listen to their war cries!
That was the best part of the whole fucking
Music
episode.
to my ears!
Because he is that intense with it. He's so intense.
Yeah, but his employees are like, they're dying.
I know.
It's like, dude, you know they're not supposed to be making that sound, right? That's not a normal sound for them. We should go check on them.
Out of all of this, because they say almost immediately after, like, oh, they're like sensitive to heat, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They have fucking construction floodlights everywhere. Those things are usually
It's
just like
hot as fuck.
I think it's like halogen or something like that. But yeah, I have one at home, and like, there's a reason there's a metal bars on the outside of it. It's because it gets to a fucking million degrees. Ugh, I remember when I was doing my basement renos, I had it like in the bathroom because it was such a small area. I didn't have a light in there yet. And it was legitimately like 3 or 4 degrees warmer in there after that light was on for like an hour or two.
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
And then we're also, we're intermittently cutting back to, the big game. Axe then spills his drink all over Chapman.
Well, first he bumps into it and spills a little bit, and there's a pause, and then he just throws his drink on Chapman, and Chapman's like, what the fuck?
And then he's like, Axe, in classic Axe fashion, aggressively tries to rip his fucking jacket off
It gets really uncomfortable because
I will handle the dry cleaning.
like
I will handle the dry cleaning.
Chapman says no means no specifically, and then the school photographer is there and takes a photo of the moment, and it just feels really uncomfortable.
Like,
the photographer is just like totally just like, fuck your privacy.
I know.
and that was the creepiest like motion I've ever seen in this show. He's just like, you don't see a face, you just see a moving camera and then a flash without stopping. And I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
that's a creepy. That guy also was like 30. I don't know
he
what
was
he's doing.
30. He was mad it wasn't a girls' basketball game.
He's not appointed by the school at all. He just came to watch.
This is him personally doing it. Marco saves Axe, and Axe meets up with them and says, I patted him everywhere. He didn't have the disc, which we already knew because the first thing that Tom did was put down his backpack when he was in the Yerk pool, and Jake found the disc inside that.
Yeah. And we already knew because we saw that Tom didn't hand Chapman the disc.
And also that. And then Chapman fucking comes downstairs and steals the disc. And figures out the best place to put it. He's got a school.
Oh my God.
He's a principal. He has his own office that can lock. And he has a desk inside that locked office. And the desk can also lock. So, of course, he puts the disc outside.
So, of course, the episode had to be 5 minutes longer.
Yeah.
Right in front of where Tobias in Hawkmorph is, sat outside missing the big game.
Listen, 22 minutes is a lot to fill.
Jake hides under the floorboards as the Yerks come downstairs and walk all over him.
Yeah. But honestly, that feels totally useless because, like, the next thing that matters is after Rachel decides to leave for whatever reason. I don't remember what.
She wants to go downstairs to find the disc. But we've already seen Chapman move the disc. It's a very, like...
Anyway, no, because she
capture
gets
the flag.
outside. Because she comes outside.
Oh, yeah, because she's going to find the disc, and then Tobias sees Chapman put it outside, so she goes outside to find Tobias. Tobias grabs the disc, and it shocks him back into a boy form.
It's like, oh, no, it's happening. I got balls now.
I'm back. I'm so happy I'm back. He's, like, kissing the ground.
And then this giant fucking hologram pops up out of the disc, and it's Alfangor. And he's like, Tobias is acting like no human has ever acted. I'm chalking that up because he was a hawk for 40 years.
Yeah, he's just screaming at Alfangor, thank you!
And he's like, there's a whole bunch of shit that we have to talk about right now. He's like, thank you! Thank you!
Yeah, and Alfangor's like, hey, I need to move on.
Right. And then he, like, the recording finishes, and of course Alfangor's like, follow your heart, which is fucking terrible. And then, like, the hologram disappears, and he's like, come back! Come back! Like, dude, it's not a message. It's not like a live phone call.
It's a hologram. You watched that man die.
And it's also like, you have the disc that it's on. Presumably, you can watch this all you want.
Oh, yeah. Also, does that mean that like it's a one use? Like,
yeah. All it took was for Tobias to touch it once, except he's already touched it before.
He's touched it before. 2, Elfangor has cued it to Elfangor's DNA. He did that when Elfangor was an Andalite. Tobias is a hawk. That's like 3 degrees of separation of DNA similarity of being in the family.
Does that mean that Elfangor had a get out of jail free card? Or not like being stuck in a morph? He's just like, well, I got this fucking disc, y'all.
That's it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then the episode ends and the 2 narrators talk about, did you like the first part of our 3-part movie?
Don't forget to see Caitlin's Way, a show that nobody will remember. Nobody will ever make a podcast about that.
I watched this show on television. I saw ads for it. I do not remember any show called Caitlin's Way ever.
Caitlin, that's because Caitlin didn't get her way.
I guess.
In that the show failed completely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the end of that one. That's the end of that one, kids.
Why? Okay. There's also a pretty good, I've actually included in the show notes, a pretty good full frontal shot of Elfangor's his face, and one eye is like stroked out. Like he definitely had a stroke at one point because his left eye is for some reason not open as much as his right eye, and it's not like he's blinking, like it's just stuck like that.
He's gotten a bit of the Andalite weed.
Oh my god, it is.
There is a lot of like smoke and like dry ice shit. What do they call it? Purple haze?
Purple haze up in my brain.
Purple rain.
What?
That's a different one.
Purple rain. No, yeah, that's a different song.
Purple rain, won't you come and wash away the pain?
Looks like he got hit with a bat.
No.
Like just the side of his head. That one doesn't open as much anymore. Sorry.
He put his legs.
Sorry, Elfie.
He accidentally stuck his legs in the Grey Goose stream instead of the regular stream.
Are we accepting as fact then that the disc has only one use? Because if it has multiple use, Tobias is a god.
He said something about...
Yeah, it's true.
I guess... Elfangor said it would do other stuff.
Yeah, he's like, and it's actually his whole porn library. Just like...
Legit, I think all Elfangor did at this point was give Tobias the ability to morph his human self again, which makes no sense.
None of this makes any sense. Why is it like a fucking disc in the first place? Like,
I don't know.
They didn't have like fucking solid state media in space.
Discs were the newest thing, so that's all humans knew how to do.
I've put it on this primitive round sheet of plastic.
The thing that makes me so angry about this show is that we've already found out about the Elemist. The Elemist already exists. Did he give Tobias back his morphing powers? Was that a thing?
So Jared, in the books, the Elemist gives Tobias the ability to morph his human self again, but he's stuck as a bird.
I believe Tessa ruined that for me.
It wasn't ruining.
I know. You know what I meant.
Me.
You know what I meant. Tessa spoiled that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to read it. Like,
He told me that. He's like, and I was like, do you want to know? Can I tell you about this? Because
Please.
Brayden, I can say nothing to him, and I'm dying.
Yeah, no, I don't care. I'm sorry. What's his name? Michael
Grant.
Michael Grant.
I'm sorry, Michael Grant. You've retweeted my stuff before, but I'm not going to read your books. I mean, I'm not going to read those books. If you have new books, I might read those.
Honestly,
does.
I've heard the real books are pretty good. So
The real books?
The new books, I was going to say the new books are pretty real, and then I just had a stroke like Elfangor.
That's very bad. That's a bad mistake.
I feel like it's not worth this long conversation that we're having about it right now, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, predictions for Face Off Part 2.
Part 3.
Nope,
Part 2.
Part 2.
Oh my god.
Oh god. I thought this was part 2.
Who's stupid now?
Nah, I'm stupid. I think Tobias gets pressured to stay as a human, and he really struggles with this choice, because he can choose to be a human, or he can choose to, like, still fight the Yeerks. And that's why Rachel said really awkwardly to him at the beginning that we really appreciate you, and we can't do this fight without you, so that he would have a hard time. And I think he shows up at a public event at the very end in human morph, and Rachel is very happy because she thinks he's a perma-human. And then he says, nope, I'm not. And she's sad, but she gets it.
I think Jake is going to morph into a pretty girl and have to make out with Tom to escape a cage.
No!
Oh, I think they're going to commit, like, some seriously heavy genocide and just, like, raise the thermostat in the Yerk freezer until they just die.
True.
Or, like, throw a space flare in it or something, and then they all just die. And then they're screaming. But Tom's into it, though, so it's not too bad.
I think Tobias is going to crank it till his arm falls off.
You can't do that with a cloaca.
That's the first thing I would
answer.
do.
That's the real one.
Do you think that he would still have his base human instinct?
He's human now, yeah.
He's back to being a 13-year-old boy after being a hawk for like a year.
Like,
That would suck. Also,
his morph was acquired with blue balls.
Also, with them eyes, you know he was just making deposits, waiting to cash out at some point.
What?
Well, you'll learn when you're older.
Why can't that be the end of this series? Like, Tobias finds himself a hot little hawk thing, and then they have that weird thing where they fall as they fuck, and then they survive, and he gets to raise a bunch of weird hawk babies who are also partly human.
I was having like a really pleasant dinner at my mother-in-law's the other day, and a friend of ours was there, and he's like, "Oh, check that out. 2 birds were fucking on the telephone wire while we were like eating dinner." Yeah, like it was just 2 little birds, but one of them was jumping on top of the other one. I'm like, yeah, now, especially after doing Life in the Gardens, like those birds are fucking plowing each other.
Guess what, Mikhail? You just saw an angel get made. Every time a human sees a pair of birds fucking, God makes an angel.
They fucking.
And that angel is
Albert Einstein.
Lipinski.
Yeah, there it is. Victor Trent. Okay. Did we get predictions from everybody? Yeah, I think so.
Yep, we did.
Mine was the crank it one, if you forgot.
No, let's go over that again. Yeah. Jared, where can we find you?
Currently on hiatus from new episodes, but if you want to listen to some of the old stuff, or if you want to just check me out on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, it's 2 Nerds in a Basement across the board there. If you want to listen to the show, either collectivelegacy.org, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And yeah, that's me.
Neat.
I believe this is someone's line.
Yeah.
Tessa.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Braden's. You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Twitter support for our
What?
show at our Patreon
What?
page, patreon.com/D.
Okay, wait.
ORKBAJIR.
Jared's like mind is melting because he doesn't know if the connection's bad
You
or
can
if
see the
you're
steam coming out of my ear. Okay.
That was so stressful. Oh my god.
Now Braden's going to pause for like 30 minutes before we get to the next line.
We offer special bonuses for our patrons, like access to our Discord server, anime essays written by us, and much more.
I actually don't mind that voice.
Out of our patrons at the by giving
Stop
them
it! Let's just talk normal!
No, you can't
love of
cut
God.
words out. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, great.
We like to give a shout out to our patrons at the Dork-Bajir level or higher by giving them an Animorph style title, starting with
A big shout, a big thank you goes to Andrew Vila, Tom yelling at Chapman.
Elamist, Marco yelling at Axe.
Martha Urquhart, the makeout cage.
Mariah Wamby, hold my pop can.
Shanna, Elfangor's stanky eye.
Zachary Vaudo, all the school spirits that he sucked from the cheerleaders.
Greg Della Posta, no means no.
Michael Armenta, Vikings, 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 Vikings.
Steam Driven, underage drinking at school.
Ace Chavez, sensitive to heat.
Anne-Marie Ellis, my warrior cries.
Nick, the gross peanut butter in the New York pods.
Anyanka, thanks for taking care of my 30-cent orange drink. For the Fanimorphs, my name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, the Cineman. Have I done that one yet?
Doesn't matter.
and I'm Jared, and please send help. Send help! Help me!
And this has been Fanimorphs,
the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Oh, that was Braden. I thought Mikhail was doing a great impression of you.
That was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
That sounded just like Braden. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. We've been practicing. Watch. Braden's gonna say some crazy shit in my voice. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'm Mikhail.
What do you want to eat right now? Jinx.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Sophie. And this is
We Watch Food,
a podcast all about the food we like to watch.
We'll talk all about the best, the craziest, and the tastiest TV, movies, and YouTube channels.
Not to mention trendy food fads and sumptuous food trivia.
Plus, we end every episode with a recipe from one of us.
So join us every Saturday for a new episode and a new insight into what makes us watch so much food.
You can find us at collectivelegacy.org, as well as a bunch of other awesome podcasts.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at We Watch Food.
And on Twitter at We Watch Food Pod. So I've been Mitch.
I'm Sophie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.